Turn the frick up. What's up? It's your girl, Sammy Ray, and we are back with another episode of This Is Not a Podcast. We have experienced 4 weeks of 2026, and your girl's been learning a lot about life and all of the things that come along with it. I have this week's list on my phone. Low key, I should have recorded this earlier, but I went out and had a grand old time. If you can't tell by my handy dandy name tag, I went to a very fun industry mixer hosted by some very fun friends, and yeah, had a blast. But it is now 12:50 a.m. and we're going to stay obedient to the Lord, and we are going to stay committed to our goal to share 10 things that we learn each week in 2026. So here we go. This week, I think I'm going to split it into 2 episodes. So we're going to start with part 1, and then I'll share part 2 at some point. I don't know exactly when. But honestly, I had 12 things that I learned this week. So that's why we're going to do a little split episode. We'll do 6 things, and then in part 2, we'll do the other 6. So let's hop right in. The first thing that this 4th week of the year really brought to my attention was mindfulness with responding and interacting, and really choosing which energies are worth investing energy into. Now, I heard this fact about successful people, and it says that successful people respond either right away or not at all. Now, I have had a phone since the 3rd grade, so I am always on my phone. In fact, I have 2 phones, and if I don't respond, it is intentional for the most part, unless I truly am busy or whatever. Otherwise, I'm very, very fast to respond. I'm like, yeah, hey, what's up? Like, let me deal with this, which in large part, I do actually give a lot of my quick responses credit to my success in my career and in my relationships, and just as a person in general. I have noticed that people know that they can rely on me to respond, and if I'm not, something's wrong. Or if I'm not responding, it's like, it's a hard no, pretty much, right? But basically, it's just a reminder to save your energy for what matters the most, but also communication is key. Like, just, it's an F yes or an F no. There are no F maybes. So if you're on the fence, it's a no. And if you're hype about it, let a friend know. You know what I mean? If you also feel like your energy is being drained, leave it alone. You don't need to interact with that. Number 2, be open to shifts and changes in your schedule, but having a plan and sticking to it really helps build reliability, stability, and it formulates a really positive reputation of success, comfort, and trust with both within you and with those that interact with you. If you can't trust yourself, why would anyone else be able to trust you? Number 3, be the person that you're looking for. Now, they normally end this saying with, and like, be the person that you're looking for, and that will come back to you. To a certain degree, I agree with that, but also do it just because that's who you are. Be the person that you want to attract, whether you actually get that back or not, because 1, God sees that. 2, your inner child sees that. And 3, it's just a good energy to be in my personal opinion. Again, like I said in episode 1, take everything that I say with a grain of salt. However, these are the things that I'm learning, so I'm just sharing my experience. Be the person that you're looking for. Whether or not that is reciprocated back, you can know that you're representing yourself in a way that honors you, and use your discernment when evaluating the connections around you. So if you notice that you're showing up and being the best version of yourself, but that's not being reciprocated, I had a moment when I was talking to God. I talk to God often. If y'all don't know, now you know. But I was praying and talking to God, and I was like, Lord, there are these people that are just like really driving me crazy. They're like pissing me off low key. Like, what do I do? And I heard God say 3-strike rule. And I was like, explain. And he said, give a first warning, and then if they do it again, notate it. And the third time, have nothing else to do with them. And a couple weeks later, I was reading my Bible, and I had not yet reached my goal of reading the Bible in its entirety. And so I was reading a new chapter, and it was, I believe, Titus 3:12 or something like that. Let me double check. Hang on. So Titus 3:10 and 11 say, if people are causing divisions among you, give a first and a second warning. After that, have nothing more to do with them. For people like that have turned away from the truth, and their own sins condemn them. When I read that, I had a whole mind blown moment because I was like, oh, Lord, this is literally what you told me in prayer and meditation like a couple weeks ago. And he was like, yeah. So yeah, basically 3-strike rule. When it comes to showing up as your best self, if that's not being reciprocated, once, twice, 3 strikes, you're out. Get out of here. Number 4, quality over quantity. We've all heard this, right? But this last week, I really just noticed that I'd rather have 1 great massage than 3 mediocre ones. I'd rather have 1 incredible friend than 3 so-so kind of friends. I'd rather have 1 incredible meal than 3 underwhelming meals. Basically, quality over quantity. Number 5, surrendering control allows for more fun and freedom. Now, I noticed this when I was taking new headshots this week, and if you watch my stories, then you've already heard this, but if this is your first time hearing it, I'll share again. I shot with a photographer that I found on TikTok a little under a year ago. And when I saw this woman's photos, I was blown away. Like, her work is incredible. And so I messaged her last year and was like, I would love to shoot with you. When can I shoot with you? And the timing just didn't align for me at the time. And then I was like, I need to shoot with her. And finally, I shot with her this last week, and she basically makes it known that she doesn't want her client to look at the photos as she's taking them, especially because she doesn't send the whole gallery. Now, every single photographer that I have worked with in my career thus far, I have always seen the monitor, I have always seen the gallery. So I was very much taking a leap of faith here to be like, you know what? I reached out to this woman. I want to shoot with her. I need to honor and respect the way that she works. Let's just give this a chance. I'm going to make this investment, take this risk, and see how it goes. Now, I still have not seen any photos yet, but I just know that this is I feel like these are going to be the best photos that I've ever taken, but also I surrendered. I chose not to be the control freak that I normally am and decided to take a leap of faith and really just trust. And again, I've seen her work, so I'm like, I know that this woman has an incredible eye. So let go of the reins, let her do her thing and have faith that I can be pleasantly surprised, especially when I do a new thing that is very much outside of my comfort zone. Number 6, energy flows where intention goes. Now, this is something that we've all heard before as well, but I really noticed this week, especially when I was talking to certain friends or colleagues or, having moments where I could actively tell that the topic of conversation was flowing me in a direction that I didn't want to go, or in hindsight was like, I don't know if I was proud of the way that I showed up in that conversation, either just for myself or even with the other person. And I've learned over the years that it takes 17 seconds for energy and momentum to start building, and 68 seconds for a like thought to join the initial thought that started gaining momentum. So, to break that down a little bit, let's say you start thinking about dessert. I wanted to say apple pie, but we'll use apple pie and dessert interchangeably. So let's say you start thinking about dessert for 17 seconds and you're like, yeah, 17 seconds, the energy starts actually moving and calling like energy towards it, right? So you're like, dessert sounds so good right now. Like if I had a dessert right now, like what kind of dessert would I want? Blah, blah, blah. You stay on that thought for 68 seconds. By 68, it's probably even faster than 68 seconds, but by 68 seconds, a like thought joins it. So by second 68, I'm like, apple pie. Apple pie sounds incredible. Ooh, and probably with some ice cream, heat it up in the microwave, fresh, you know what I mean? Like that's how a thought snowballs or grows in energy and momentum. So being mindful of that and really focusing. I found myself in a conversation with a friend of mine. We were catching up and I started talking about things that Savage Sam was coming out. I was being a little a little rebel, if you will, to put it nicely. And I left the conversation and I was like, Sammy, you did not show up as your best self in that conversation. You were being a little rebel, again, to put it nicely. And so I just kind of had to check myself in moments where I become consciously aware of like, oh, I'm talking about or thinking about something that I don't want to add any energy and momentum on in a negative direction. I will just say my name either out loud or in my head to like draw the energy back to myself. So that's a little tip or trick. If that helps you, give it a try. Because again, you don't want to keep building momentum in a direction that you don't want to create more of whatever it is that you're focused on. So taking the time to be like, oh, okay, no, I actually don't like this right now. Like, let me just stop, like literally hard stop, just like drop it and shift the energy somewhere else. I like to shift it back onto myself and just be like, Sammy Ray, Sammy Ray, Sammy Ray, Sammy Ray, Sammy Ray. I'll say it enough times to where I'm fully focused back on myself again for that 17 seconds. And then at that point, I've cleared out whatever it was that I was talking about before, and I can choose another random thought. It could be anything. But again, just focusing that energy back on yourself so that you can harness energy and momentum in a direction of your desire and not anything else. That's the end of part 1. So thanks so much for hanging out, and I will see you in part 2 in a little bit.